So, yeah. Well, okay, I will start off by saying Nora kept it brief, relatively speaking, for her. She got to the point. So the point is, Nora is sick, guys. And I think we all agree Nora is sick, and she's been sick for a very long time. And let's be clear, this is not Ken Moxon. It's not Miss Scavenge. It's not Aaron Smith-Levin. So this is not a major league Scoville predator. Let's be very clear. She is evil. She's all kinds of evil. But the more you grow up in life, there's evil, right? Like plain old evil, which is not good, obviously. That's why we call it the evil. And then there's that upper level of super satanic, really evil. And I'm going to use a lot of X-Men. We're going to just use two parts, one from the movies, one from the cartoon. Sorry, we're going to do deep dive. So I don't want to ruin the story, but there's a part in X2 which is very powerful. And that's when good storytelling can help you in life. And someone is going to like, what's that thing for? They're pointing at Magneto's helmet. Like saying, oh, this is to deal with the bad guys. The real bad guys. So, yes, Magneto is a villain. And he's portrayed as a villain in X1 and X2. He is a villain. I mean, the guy is technically a racist, pro-genocide guy. He's not a good guy. That said, is he really a bad guy in the sense that Stryker, who's portrayed in that movie, is a bad guy? No, like Stryker is super Austrian painter evil. So if you have to scale it, he wasn't lying. He wasn't gaslighting, saying, no, I mean, I've done bad things. I'm not like that guy. I'm one of the good guys. I'm not one of those guys. And that's Nora's trick for the last decade or so, saying, she's not a good person, but hey, our heroes don't always have to be good. Look at Wolverine. Wolverine's not technically a good guy. I mean, he's pretty brutal and vicious. But Nora, like Wolverine, has gotten very old and aged, and the healing factor may be slowing down. So, like Loganis, we may be entering the swan song when poor Nora will no longer be with us. And to all that, I say, I don't care. Get to the goddamn point. And of course, her point was there's apparently going to be an anti-Trump rally, which she's going to try to join, but she's had a second thought saying, I cannot be there physically present, guys. I have made the brave choice to be at my house watching baseball with my dogs and my wife. I chose love over hate. But I will be there in spirit, brothers and sisters. Oh, Pa, the revolution must continue. Right, right. So let's keep this thing simple. Now, with Goot, I think he is a Trump guy. I don't know how deep he is in Trump, or he's just making fun of the MAGA because he put on the MAGA hat. But I don't know. With Knife Order, I can't tell. I could guesstimate. I would assume probably these guys are a little bit more right wing than I am, and they probably think I'm much more left wing than I really am. And then we have people like True Clear Media, who is really much more left than I am and thinks that's a virtue. And hey, good luck with that. But I'm somewhere in the middle. Now, by middle, I mean, which is where we are now, being, I guess, moderate leftist, that's sympathetic to socialism, and parts of the radical left agenda. But keeping it brutally honest, Nora is kind of a nice symbol of the problems that this is the kind of people that the radical left wants to work with and promote, even though Nora herself keeps making fun of and attacks the radical left, saying, I am no communist or anarchist, guys. I am a moderate Kamala liberal. I want the system to be better. I am not a revolutionary. That she keeps talking about the revolution every other video, saying, the revolution is here, guys. Right. So let's, again, keep it simple. So Scoville's subscribers, I did a past video predicting he would get to 25,000 subs. And I gotta be honest, I thought it was a hope. But apparently it's becoming reality. But he's still holding out. He's got 25,000.2. So around 200 people are still struggling. Don't struggle. Super satanic evil man is super satanic evil man. He's not going to get better. I do believe in miracles. I believe in redemption. But after you give anyone about 6 or 7 tries, you gotta move on. And again, be clear, Nora's not on the Scoville level of evil, but she's not angelic good either. So the contents of her actual video were kind of pathetic. So she's promoting the Aftermath, which has a series of billboards asking people to leave Scientology, contact the Aftermath Foundation, and hopefully get out of the cult, which I think is a good message. However, unlike Nora, I don't try to be a complete hypocrite 24/7. So only a few months ago, she was declaring Claire Headley, who heads the Aftermath Foundation, as a criminal who should be in jail. And now she's like, we need to promote the Aftermath, guys. No, Nora, we don't need to do anything. What we need to do is stop and ask ourselves, what is happening? How did it get this way? Because you are major league grifter. You've been lying. You've been lying about a lot of people, trying to manipulate a lot of people. And when they call you out with receipts, we're not talking a few receipts, we're talking major league receipts. Her reaction is to do more propaganda and say, I guess I made a mistake. We can talk off camera. I'll give you an emails. Yeah, but for Tom Cruise, no, Tom Cruise needs to publicly apologize. See, Tom Cruise, he's got to do more. He needs to go to Nora's house and beg forgiveness. Okay. Ken Moxon, he needs to publicly apologize. Aaron Smith-Levin, publicly apologize. And I would agree with Scoville, publicly apologize. But Nora, no, we'll handle this in private. There was a misunderstanding. You misunderstood my propagandist. No, Nora, we got the propagandist. You hate Zero Dark Tony. You hate Aaron Smith-Levin. You hate Mike Rinder. Fine, you're a hate propagandist. Whatever. I even don't disagree with some of her hatred. I hate Trump too. I think Trump is a pretty evil, authoritarian, dictatorial moron. However, two things can be true, that some policies are actually good policies, and some of the things he says are true. And some of the things that are the anti-Trump people that are for are actually kind of stupid. I mean, it's a really weird situation where now the so-called leftists are defending the CIA and they want to destroy Trump because they think, well, if we got to choose, I mean, Kamala and the CIA, they're kind of the good people here. No, they're not. No, they're not. They're all major league criminals. There's no heroes here. But I do want to speak up for Knife Hoarder because Knife Hoarder also recently revealed that he's been going through a lot of health problems. So I think, and again, he's doing well. Don't want to panic anyone. He's doing very well. And my point is not to panhandle here. Although I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm gonna keep it brief, but I'm definitely in a really bad financial situation, and there's nothing embarrassing with what I'm going to say. Is that I've been on public assistance, which is fine. I've worked my whole life, so there's no guilt. I don't think I've ever been on unemployment. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. So I actually have paid up a lot in the system, and I deserve the money. I worked for the money. That said, I am aware of people gaming the system, even when they don't technically need the assistance anymore. They're still on it, and I get the argument that the system is all corrupt. It's our money, so why not? And I'm not a snitch, and I understand the argument, but that's not me. So when I needed assistance, I got on it. When I didn't need it, I got off of it. And I'm kind of proud of myself. So I'm not Knife Hoarder, who has super high integrity. So if Knife Hoarder, and again, it's not going to happen, at least not immediately, he seems well, but you never know. If we lost him, that would be a major tragedy. Whatever his politics, whatever his opinions, I have a deep respect for him. Now we're going to disagree. I'm going to do some fact correct here and there. I may even violently disagree with some things, especially with Good, I'm sure, with some politics. But I don't question their integrity. Beyond the fact that they've actually proven their integrity by exposing Scoville and so on and so forth, I don't have any question about, even when their opinions are wrong, that these are honest opinions they're arriving at. They may make mistakes, but these are honest mistakes. That's not Nora. So once again, she's pushing the panic button. And of course, she plugs saying, guys, my America is almost reaching 1,000. Then I can make more money. And, I got the Venmo and the Cash App. If you guys could help, I'm going to be here on the couch with the dog and watch the baseball. That's my activisms. Now, despite all that, I think these protesters are of goodwill. I don't like Trump. But seriously, a bunch of liberals drinking in the cafes in a liberal city, in a liberal state, hating Trump, it's not bravery. This is not anti-Scientology activism. It is grifting. And I am always astonished at how deep her grift is. And she just keeps grifting and grifting. And her only defense, and it is true, and I will agree with her, is she's not Aaron. Right, she's not Aaron. She's not Miscavige. But now we get to Tom Cruise. And I will say one controversial thing. And by the way, if you want to unsubscribe, that's fine. I'm just talking about, and listen, there is a Scientology angle. There is. So I'm not protecting Tom Cruise. There is something fishy going on. However, I'm talking about the isolated moment, which is actually good. So Tom Cruise showed up at CinemaCon, which is basically this, marketing strategy. It's supposed to be a celebration of cinema. It's not. They're just selling products. But anyway, so Tom Cruise did a very noble, nice thing to say they're going to take a moment of silence to mourn the passage of Val Kilmer, who also had many health problems. Although there may be some questions about what really happened, but we'll leave that for another day. So that was really nice and touching. So I agree, Nora. I do agree you're less evil than Aaron. I do agree you're less evil than Miscavige. You're less evil than Trump. But you're not Knife Order. You're not a truth teller. You're not this activist with some flaws. You're not the McLaurys. You're not Jerry Armstrong. Stop pretending to be something you're not. What you are is a deeply confused, deeply disturbed hate propagandist. And you've just gone from one cult to another cult. You backstabbed the last cult, trying to make more money. And you're just crying, "Where's my money? Guys, my body. Oh, my family. Oh, my heart." And I would say, to quote Malcolm X, this is justice. This is karma. It's in the Bible. You reap what you sow. You've been a terrible person for most of your life. Now, you do have a family, but guess what? Some of her children are grown up. But I've lost my mother when I was grown up, and it's still hard. And, my mother had many problems and many flaws, but not like Nora. So, yeah, her kids are going to have it hard. And I'm sure they're going to lie about it because it is. It's not a very good record. So, it's just sad. It's just sad. If we, quote, lose Nora tomorrow, we're not losing anything. Matter of fact, the human race would benefit. But I'm not cruel. So I hope she gets better. But I'm not going to lie, if she doesn't get better, I don't care. I don't care. She's been given more than half a dozen attempts. Keeps getting worse and worse. And she's, quote, going to, if she does leave us, on another false note. She doesn't care about Claire. She doesn't care about the aftermath. She doesn't care about the victims of Scientology. She's contradicting herself and being a complete hypocrite. What she does is she hates Aaron. So she's promoting the Aftermath Foundation because it's not the SPTV Foundation. Isn't the SPTV Foundation also helping people out of Scientology? Isn't it also doing some good stuff? I mean, I hate Aaron, but I have no doubt they're doing some good things. It's propaganda. It's all scam. These are all scam foundations. Don't support them. However, if you had to, yes, the Aftermath is the lesser evil. However, let's be clear about what's going on. That's what we're doing. We're doing scamology. There is an anti-Scientology movement. There are good activists. That is a really small part of what's going on here. The normal, real SPTV is a pack of criminals and liars who protect predators. That's the record. That's who they really are. And they'll only do the right thing when they're forced to. So now Scoville has been kicked out of SPTV. Not because they're doing the right thing, because they can't protect him anymore. There's too much out there now. He can't put the genie back in the bottle, so he's stuck. So he's just flailing about with his AI fantasies and, oh, Pete Diddy's, Danny Masterson. And it's a declining audience. And we got to make sure it's a more declining audience. Nora had no role in that. Nora didn't do any exposure. But now she's pretending, oh, the Trump, oh, the Scoville, oh, the patriarchy, oh, my heart. Nora, I do feel sad for your family. Although, gotta be honest, a lot of her family is also pretty cringe too. But really, this is not Knife Order. This is not Val Kilmer. This isn't even Tom Cruise. Because Tom Cruise at least had the decency to do some decent things for friends and family. You? Uh, uh, So you may be less evil than Aaron, and you may be less evil than Miscavige, but are you less evil than Tom Cruise? I'm thinking Tom Cruise may actually win out there. And by the way, let's be very clear. Tom Cruise did some really hardcore evil stuff, but he may actually win the race with Nora. Maybe she should reflect upon that if she can.